Welcome to early December here in Maryland. Supposed to snow Thursday night into Friday. We'll see if that happens. I will continue to admit people. I have promised you, and it's being worked on, the lineup for SABR Day in January 19th. So once David is done with that, that will be going out. I think it's going to be $46 a head. And we're going to have hot food this time around by Blue Pit Barbecue, which is a vendor here in Hamden in Baltimore. So when I have more info, you will as well. I'm looking forward to this presentation. I don't know if Donna, if you know, Hinchliffe is in the baseball attractions passport as a stop. When I
Yes.
was up at the Yogi Berra Museum back in March, it was one of the weekends. I think it was closed, so I was not able to get there. But obviously, I will be back. It has its own place. I think this attractions passport is now up to 45 or 50 baseball attractions and museums around the United States. So,
Well,
um,
I don't know how convenient this would be for you in terms of timing, but the SABR Elysian Field SABR Day event will be at the Youth Museum at Hinchliffe on February 7th.
that might be doable. Ours is very early. Washington, D.C. one is a week after the Baltimore one, and then the Philadelphia one is a week after that. So there's a good possibility I might be able to come up. So,
Okay. We'll
um,
keep in touch.
absolutely. So, for those of you who don't know, Donna is the president of the Elysian Fields chapter. It's not as huge as the one in Manhattan, but it's pretty darn close. They do a lot of wonderful programs. I wish I could participate in some more of their stuff. They seem to have grown exponentially over the last couple of years. And they're very fortunate, like we are with the Babe Ruth Museum, to have an ongoing relationship and partnership with the Yogi Berra Museum there in Little Falls. And Yogi's granddaughter, Lindsay, is highly involved with that. So they're very fortunate, just like we are here in Baltimore. So I'm going to shut up and let her take over. And if you guys have questions, put them in the chat or save them towards the end. I've been running around. I'm a little frantic. Got home late from work, had a rush across town to the vet to pick up a cat who was there for a checkup. So I haven't eaten yet. So I'm trying to get my bearings. So while I'll let this young lady take over and wow you with her knowledge, hope you enjoy it. And I will be on when she's done.
Okay.
Thanks.
What I'm going to do is I will share my screen. I'll tell you a little bit about why this subject is so important to me. And then I'm going to turn my camera off and just let the slides and my voice do the work. Where is my share? Here we go. Can everybody see that slide okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay. So my name is Donna Muscarella, as Peter said, and I am not only the president of the Elysian Fields chapter of SABR, but a fourth generation baseball enthusiast who is very passionate about the game. And I am a collector of many baseball related things. One of those things is baseball stadium postcards. And back in early 2020, when the pandemic hit and I was going a little stir crazy because I couldn't feed my collecting gene, I decided to try and put together a list of stadiums in which Negro Leagues baseball had been played and look to expand my collection. I had plenty of postcards of places like Yankee Stadium and Fenway and Comiskey where Negro Leagues games had been played, but I wanted to get a list of stadiums that were Negro Leagues specific. And so I took to Google and almost fell over off my chair when I saw that one of those stadiums was located less than 11 miles from my home, and I did not even know it existed. So I kind of put the postcard quest on hold for a little bit. And while at the same time, while this was going on, the Negro Leagues were, or the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Negro Leagues was being celebrated. That was in February of 2020. And the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, to raise awareness about the Negro Leagues and the anniversary, kicked off this campaign called Tip Your Cap. And they wanted people to post videos and photos of themselves tipping their cap in acknowledgement of the milestone. And I didn't want to just stand in my backyard or something and do that. I said, okay, well, I got to figure out a place. And again, along comes the pandemic, and the local places that I would have gone to do this were inaccessible. I thought about maybe the Jackie Robinson plaque inside Monument Park at Yankee Stadium, or the Jackie Robinson Rotunda in Citi Field, or maybe even taking a trip back to Kansas City. All of those things were off the table. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go check this Hinchliffe Stadium place out. And could not, again, another shocker moment. As I was pulling up to it, I realized that I had been there. I can't tell you how many times. It's located directly next to the Great Falls in Paterson. And I was a frequent visitor to the Paterson Great Falls because I am also a photographer. And I used to park next to Hinchliffe Stadium every time I visited and had no idea what it was. I knew it was some sort of sports venue, but it was dilapidated. There were trees. You could see into parts of the stadium through fences and such. There were trees growing up through the stands, and I have no idea what this is. I had never explored beyond the spot where I park, so I didn't know what the name of the place was. But I said, this can't be anything of interest because look at the condition it's in. And when I realized what it was, I said, okay, I am now on a mission. And my mission became, hey, if I'm somebody who is a fourth generation baseball enthusiast who lives less than 11 miles away from this place and I didn't know about it, how many other people don't know about it either? And from that came this slideshow, which very happily has evolved over time. I will talk a bit about that as we go through. And so I'm going to share with you the history of Hinchliffe Stadium, which I believe is a symbol of the American dream. And now my slides are not advancing. There we go. Okay. When people think of Alexander Hamilton and his ties to New Jersey, the first thing that will come to mind for most is his duel with Aaron Burr, which took place in Weehawken. And when most think of Hamilton and his contributions to our fledgling country, the Federalist Papers and his accomplishments as Secretary of the Treasury are likely foremost in thought. But did you know that he also founded Paterson, New Jersey? He viewed the city's Great Falls and the power of the Passaic River as a tremendous energy source for the industrialization he believed was vital to the success of the United States. Paterson grew to be a manufacturing hub for silk fabrics, continuous rolls of paper, steam locomotives, airplane engines, and the first submarine. The city thrived. And in that thriving city was built one of the few Negro League stadiums still standing. Pictured here on the immediate left is the current Paterson City logo, which celebrates its roots in industrialization and its current focus on tourism centered around its beautiful Great Falls. That Alexander Hamilton mural no longer exists, but it was located on an auxiliary building at Hinchliffe Stadium. And the other two photos are photos that I captured of the Patterson Great Falls. The design of Hinchliffe Stadium, named for the city's former mayor, John Hinchliffe, and mayor at the time, John V. Hinchliffe, was based on an Olmsted Brothers landscape engineering layout and the actual plans of Patterson architectural firm Fanning and Shaw. I mention the Olmsted Brothers because they played a role in the establishment of the National Park Service, a bit of trivia that ties into a Hinchliffe Stadium fact I'll get to shortly. The site selected for the stadium was a bluff next to the Great Falls and included a piece of property formerly used by the Society for Useful Manufacturers, the organization founded by Alexander Hamilton as Patterson was industrialized. And pictured here is a crowd gathered for a sporting event at the future site of Hinchliffe Stadium, and a Hinchliffe Stadium model for public view sculpted by Gaetano Federici. And it really is amazing how closely to the way that the stadium evolved and still looks today, sans the positioning of the diamond. It really, it looks no different. And that's pretty awesome to me. The 10,000 seat stadium was built in the throes of the Great Depression. It opened to great fanfare in 1932. The inaugural events were a two-night portrayal of the life and career of George Washington in celebration of the 200th anniversary of his birth, and a baseball game. The photo on the bottom right, no, not bottom right, bottom left, sorry, provides an excellent view of the field configuration. The ballpark played similarly to the Polo Grounds. The oval had a dimensions of 279 down the left field line, 258 down right, and 483 to straightaway center. Hinchliffe was 280 down the lines and over 500 feet to dead center. Hinchliffe would go on to host the 1933 Colored Championship of the Nation and serve as the home field for the New York Black Yankees, the New York Cubans, and the Newark Eagles. Both Patterson and Hinchliffe had become representations of the American dream, but for very different reasons. Patterson's manufacturing dominance represented our country's successful independence and self-sufficiency through industrialization, while Hinchliffe showcased the talents of world-class black ball players who were told they had no place in professional baseball. Rather than quit, they founded their own professional leagues and thrived. In addition to hosting professional baseball games, Hinchliffe Stadium was the home field for Patterson Eastside High School. One of their star athletes, lettering in 4 sports, was Larry Doby. In May 1942, as a high school senior, Doby tried out at Hinchliffe for the Newark Eagles of the Negro National League. His performance and reputation led to his signing by Eagles owners Effa and Abe Manley. Doby played for the Eagles in 1942 under the name Larry Walker to shield his identity and allow him to retain his amateur status so he could attend Long Island University on a basketball scholarship. From 1943 to 1946, Doby served in the United States Navy. He returned to play for the Eagles after his honorable discharge. On July 4, 1947, Larry Doby's contract was purchased by the Cleveland Indians. He went directly from playing for the Eagles to playing for the Indians, reintegrating the American League on July 5th, a little more than 11 weeks after Jackie Robinson made his debut for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And yet, all too often, the story of baseball's early days of reintegration starts and ends with Jackie. Larry suffered the same indignities, received the same death threats, and was shunned by some of his teammates. Jackie Robinson deserves all the credit he gets, but Larry Doby doesn't get all the credit he deserves. The photo here is of the photo on the right is of the Larry Doby mural at Hinchliffe Stadium. The mural was painted next to the Alexander Hamilton mural shown earlier, and sadly was also demolished during the restoration of Hinchliffe. 28 members of the National Baseball Hall of Fame have strong ties to Hinchliffe Stadium. They're all listed here. The first group, from Ray Brown through Judd Wilson, are players who played in Negro League games at Hinchliffe Stadium. Then we have the two owners, Effa Manley, who, along with her husband, owned the Newark Eagles and is the only woman to date inducted in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, and Alex Pompez, who owned the New York Cubans. And then that last column are non-Negro League players, or players who came barnstorming through Hinchliffe Stadium in non-Negro League games. Now, an interesting little side note here is that actually two. First is you'll notice Jackie Robinson isn't on the list. The application for Hinchliffe Stadium to be included in the National Register of Historic Places, which was prepared in 2003, includes mention of Robinson playing there in 1945 as a member of the Kansas City Monarchs. That claim has not been backed up by the extensive box score research conducted since. Second cool thing is Alex Pompez, with the help of his former New York Cuban shortstop Horatio Rabbit Martinez, constructed the initial talent pipeline from the Dominican Republic that brought Juan Marichal, the Alou brothers, and Manny Mota to Major League Baseball. That relationship existed because of the time they spent as owner-player at Hinchliffe Stadium. Now, it's very cool that there are 28 members of the National Baseball Hall of Fame that have ties to Hinchliffe. There's even more impressive history, though. Hinchliffe Stadium was a popular venue for a plethora of entertainment: rodeos, wrestling, boxing, concerts, racing, soccer, and comedy shows all resulted in crowds heading to the stadium on the bluff. Tito Puente and Sly and the Family Stone performed at Hinchliffe. One of Duke Ellington's last concerts was held there. Babe Ruth visited Hinchliffe as a promoted guest for Diamond Gloves amateur boxing. There are stories of more celebrities, baseball and otherwise, visiting Hinchliffe as boxing spectators. And some pretty famous boxers fought there too, including Jake LaMotta and Rocky Graziano. Midget car racing was brought to Hinchliffe by Ed Otto, a founding member of NASCAR. Pro wrestling superstars Stu Hart, Gorgeous George, Chief Jay Strongbow, Jimmy Valiant, and Gorilla Monsoon had matches at Hinchliffe. Jim Thorpe played baseball at Hinchliffe with his barnstorming Oakland Indians. Comedy one-liner master Henny Youngman performed at Hinchliffe, as did Abbott and Costello several times in Lou Costello's hometown stadium. It's wonderful to imagine people sitting in the stands and roaring with laughter as Who's on First rolled off Bud and Lou's tongues. And a side note, you'll notice that there's a photo of Bud and Lou from the Naughty 90s, which is the film in which Who's on First appears. But if you look in the background there, you'll see that it says Patterson, which is, and the rest of it, which you can't see from this particular angle, is Patterson. I think it's silk socks. It might be silk stockings, but that's a nod to Patterson, Lou Costello's hometown. Eventually, Hinchliffe Stadium came under the ownership of the Patterson Board of Education, and the city was on the decline. By 1983, Patterson was ranked as the 5th poorest city in the United States. Despite Hinchliffe's rich history, the stadium fell into disrepair. In 1996, it was deemed unsafe and closed. Things got worse from there as vagrants and vandals became frequent visitors. Empty liquor containers, spray paint cans, and more littered the place that had once been the pride of Patterson. On September 17, 2002, the 70th anniversary of the stadium's official dedication, Friends of Hinchliffe Stadium was founded. Here's a quote from the Friends. "Where others see a weed-overgrown concrete oval, its stands scrawled with graffiti, we see a key to unlocking one of the most vivid, creative, and inspiring American stories of several generations." The organization worked tirelessly to save Hinchliffe, which was deteriorating more by the day and moving towards a date with a wrecking ball. Through the Friends' efforts, the stadium was declared a National Historic Landmark, a Patterson Historic Landmark, and part of the Patterson Great Falls National Park. These declarations helped refocus a Patterson on the rise, one that is promoting tourism, entertainment, arts, and culture. And these are some of my photos taken from 2020 through probably late 2021. In February of 2021, Patterson's Mayor Andre Sayer received words that tax credits had been awarded for the restoration of Hinchliffe Stadium. A groundbreaking ceremony was held inside the dilapidated landmark on April 14, 2021. The date was chosen because Larry Doby wore number 14. The restoration initiative would include the building of a 55 and over housing complex and a parking structure next to the stadium. These are some of the photos captured at the groundbreaking. They had special bat handle shaped shovels. Harold Reynolds was on site. He holds the title as Hinchliffe Stadium Ambassador. There was a ceremonial moving of dirt. There was no actual groundbreaking. They took a pile of bags of topsoil and threw it in the middle of the asphalt and moved it, and voila, groundbreaking. And the photo on the right there is Larry Doby Jr. You could see we were all still, even though we're outside, masked and trying to be as safe as possible, but Larry Jr. was kind enough to pose for that photo for me. In the midst of the restoration, which ran approximately $10 million over the $94 million budget announced in 2021, news broke that Hinchliffe would be the new home for the New Jersey Jackals of the Independent Frontier League, an MLB professional partner league. So these are some photos from the restoration. The foreman and I developed a really nice relationship, and he was nice enough to let me come in and capture some photos of progress. Hold on one moment. Okay, so now we've got some before and after photos. That is one of the entrances to the ballpark. You can see that the nameplate over the entrance had to be held up because there was fear that it might crumble and fall onto the street. So they put some supports and put a fence around it. After that, cleared all the weeds away, replaced all of the nameplates. Two were preserved. One now sits beyond the left field fence inside the stadium, and the other one you'll see a photo of a little bit later sits outside the stadium by the entrance on that particular street to part of the Great Falls. And here you can see, and that photo on the left is not the inside at its worst. But you could see there are trees growing up through the stands. And that photo on the right was taken from almost the same vantage point. After the stadium was restored, you can see the parking structure there behind the third base stands. And you'll notice that the baseball diamond, sadly, has been repositioned. I don't love it. Most people don't love it. However, I will say this, it's better than a wrecking ball, so I'll take it. These are the stands that now run behind right and center field. That photo on the top left is pre any restoration work. The photo on the bottom left is in the midst of the construction. And then that photo on the right is after everything was done. You'll notice in that top left photo, there's we'll call it a press box up there that was not original to the stadium and therefore was not allowed to remain when the restoration was done. There is a press box on the other side now that looks nicer and is a lot safer and more functional than that one. Again, this is looking out to what is now left center field. You can see there's that smokestack that's kind of in the center right behind home on that scoreboard. There is that same smokestack that is just behind that New Meadowlands Market in the photo on the right. Notice there's a new scoreboard. The scoreboard on the left was not original to the stadium. On the left here, we've got the new Hinchliffe Stadium logo. That logo was designed to look like a beer label and also to reflect the shape of Hinchliffe Stadium. You've got the Patterson skyline in the background, the Hinchliffe Stadium trademark terracotta roof and turrets, and the lettering that mimics that was over the nameplates that were over the entrance. The photos here on the right were from opening day, May 18th, 2023. It was the Silk City Baseball Classic doubleheader, Patterson Eastside, Larry Doby's alma mater, versus Don Bosco, one of the top baseball schools in northern New Jersey. And then the second game of the doubleheader was Kennedy against Patterson Science, two Patterson high schools. On May 19th, the day after the first games at Hinchliffe, was a ribbon cutting ceremony. It was a very, very, very long ribbon cutting ceremony. It lasted, I think it was 4 or 5 hours. There were a lot of people there. It was really hot, but it was really fun. And the day culminated with the cutting of the ribbon. Whoopi Goldberg was there. Many New Jersey politicians and baseball personalities. On the right there is photos from Jackal's opening day and the ceremonial first pitch. Standing on the mound there is Patterson Mayor Andre Saya. Throwing the ball is Willie Randolph. And then standing off to the right is Patterson Assemblyman Benji Wimberly. These are some photos from the first professional game at Hinchliffe Stadium. On the left here is 2023 Frontier League MVP James Nelson. In the center is Jackal's pitcher Dylan Castaneda. The team introduced these beautiful red Silk City uniforms that pay tribute to Patterson's nickname. The Hinchliffe Stadium logo is on the left sleeve. And then that other photo, the one in the top right there, is Vin Mazzaro throwing out the first professional pitch at Hinchliffe Stadium. This is a photo from opening day. You'll see that building in center field is an addition that houses on the second level the Youth Museum of Hinchliffe Stadium, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The lower level is still not developed. There have been several different announcements made formally and informally about what would be there. And there's still nothing there. It's up in the air. I won't share the latest rumor because that might not happen either. But something hopefully will go there eventually. But regardless of what's on the first floor, there's an amazing museum on the second floor. There's a little bit of the early activities in the revitalization of Hinchliffe Stadium. On Juneteenth of 2023, the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum took Larry Doby's plaque out of the plaque gallery, and that's something that does not happen often. And when it does, it's most often related to a recent induction, where the plaque will come out and go to the ballpark or ballparks in which the recent inductee played. This is one of the rare cases where, for some other reason, they removed the plaque and they brought it to Hinchliffe Stadium. In conjunction with that whole day's celebration, there was an MLB play ball event. That's those two photos on the right side there, where kids came into the stadium and got to play on the field with being coached by volunteers who were members of the New Jersey Jackals or members of the play ball team. And they got to run the bases. They were taught how to throw. They were taught how to hit. They hit off a tee, and they all got t-shirts and bats and balls to take home with them. That same day, between the clinic and the Jackals game that night, the Baseball Hall of Fame announced the name of the new Negro Leagues exhibit at the hall. Souls of the Game, Voices of Black Baseball. And Larry Doby Jr. was there. It was the first time, due to his work schedule and related travel, that he had seen the stadium fully renovated. And then that photo in the photo top center there, it was July 5th, 2023, Larry Doby Day. All of the players wore Newark Eagles jerseys with number 14 on the back. That bottom center photo there, the Jackals wore New York Cubans jerseys, also to pay tribute to the stadium's history. And then finally, that photo on the bottom right there was from the second day of the two-day celebration that the Baseball Hall of Fame brought to Hinchliffe Stadium, where they introduced their Black Baseball Initiative, which is a traveling exhibit. A part of it is a traveling exhibit that allows students or adults, whoever, but it's primarily focused on students, to hands-on be able to hold either a game used or a game replica bat, or get to see a baseball that's cut in half, or put on a vintage catcher's mask, or try on a uniform. And all of the player branded artifacts that were there belonged to or were named for Black baseball players. Hinchliffe is, as I mentioned earlier, or was, a multi-purpose facility, and they wanted to keep that tradition. And in that vein, there's a track that surrounds the fields, whether it's set up for soccer, baseball, football, wrestling, whatever the case may be. And they've also had cricket games there. Now, football, huge part of Hinchlife's history, huge part of Patterson's history. September 1st and 2nd, 2023 were the first football games at the restored stadium. It was a 6-game showcase for high school players. And then there's the Thanksgiving game. The Thanksgiving game is a Patterson tradition that was played for the 101st time this year. It's a game that has been played every year between Patterson East Side, again, Dobie's alma mater, and what used to be called Patterson Central, which is now Kennedy. That returned to Hinchliffe in 2023 for the first time in 26 years. And you'll notice in this photo that one in the top center there, which wasn't visible in earlier photos of the restored stadium, they added Hinchliffe Stadium lettering over the scoreboard. So these are some of the photos that I captured from the showcase. The 2 on the left are from the showcase. The 4 on the right are from the Thanksgiving game. And Eastside has, I believe it's a 7-year streak of winning the Thanksgiving game. They won this year. It was a crazy blowout, 52-0. On April 11th of 2024, the Charles J. Muth Museum of Hinchliffe Stadium opened. This museum is run by Montclair State University. The on-site staff consists of Director Jessica Cameron Bush, who is a historian who is very devoted to telling civil rights stories and the stories of the history of Hinchliffe Stadium. The 3 photos on the right are of the current enormous banners that hang at the museum. One side of the banners that run along the exterior feature the artwork of Greg Kreinler. And then the inside banners tell the story, the baseball story of Hinchliffe Stadium and the baseball story of integrated ball, which became segregated ball, which again became integrated baseball. There are showcases that feature Negro Leagues artifacts that tell the stories of players with ties to the stadium. And then there's also a part of that exhibit space that pays tribute to Johnny Briggs, who was a major leaguer with the Phillies and the Brewers, maybe also the White Sox. Don't hold me to that. He's a Patterson native who still lives in Patterson to this day. As a matter of fact, he visited the museum again just a few weeks ago with 2 generations of his family members. April 5th of 2025 brought women's professional football to Hinchliffe Stadium. The Jersey Shore Wave of the Women's National Football Conference calls Hinchliffe Stadium home, and they will be returning for their 2nd season in 2026. And all these photos, I didn't say this, and this isn't to pat myself on the back, but just so you know, there aren't credits there because these are all my photos. So I've been very blessed with the opportunity to have very nice access to the stadium, and they've been very gracious in helping me and SABR continue to tell the story of Hinchliffe. On August 1st of 2025, a New Jersey Black Heritage Trail marker was placed at Hinchliffe Stadium by the New Jersey Historical Commission. It is only the 2nd marker in the state. There are other sites that are designated for recognition, but the 2nd marker in the state was placed at Hinchliffe Stadium. That photo on the left is Larry Dobie up on the ladder, Larry Dobie Jr. up on the ladder, unveiling the marker. That photo on the top right there shows, when I remember I said about one of the nameplates was preserved and placed on the exterior of the stadium, and that is it. And then you can see the marker a little bit more closely, and then Larry Doby Jr. standing next to the marker. I'll read to you what it says. Opened in 1932, Hinchliffe Stadium became the home of Negro League Baseball when racism barred Black athletes from playing on major league teams. The stadium was a source of civic pride, hosting generations of high school athletes and various semi-pro and professional sports events. In 1933, the stadium hosted the Colored Championship of the Nation, which was the Negro League equivalent of the World Series. Legends who played here include Monty Irvin, Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, and Patterson's own Larry Doby, who, along with Jackie Robinson, broke the color barrier in the major leagues in 1947. And the most recent exciting news about Hinchliffe Stadium is that professional soccer is returning next year. The New York Cosmos are being resurrected and are now owned by the gentleman whose photo you see on the right. That is Baye Adolfo Wilson, a Patterson native, and he's also a real estate developer, a lawyer, a veteran, and he played a very big role in the restoration of Hinchliffe Stadium. He oversaw the restoration project, and he now owns the Cosmos, and he also now owns the New Jersey Jackals. Ownership transitioned during this offseason, and Baye is the new owner who has expressed a great interest in celebrating the Negro League's history and working to promote the museum and possibly even working with SABR. So we are about to start talks about that. So that's really exciting, exciting news. In closing the scripted portion of my presentation, I want to thank Peter and the Baltimore Babe Ruth SABR chapter for allowing me to present tonight, and all of you for attending. It's an honor for me to help preserve and promote the history of Hinchliffe Stadium and the Negro Leagues, both national treasures and symbols of the American dream. And I'm back. So if anybody has any questions or would like me to go into any more detail about anything, I'm happy to do so. I grew up being taught that it was Jackie and Larry, Jackie and Larry, Jackie and Larry. And another reason why I'm so passionate about sharing this history is because most people just know Jackie, 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 Jackie. This is history in my adopted backyard. I grew up in Brooklyn, but I've been in New Jersey longer than I've been in Brooklyn. And it really is, I consider it an absolute privilege to be able to scream this history from the rooftops as much as I can. Tony, thank you for your comment. Why did they change the direction of the field? That's a good question. I'm just going to put the chat up here so that I can see these. They changed the direction of the field because they said that it better allows them to make it a multi-use, multi-purpose facility. I'm not a developer. I don't understand why it couldn't be the way it was before, but it is what it is. Interestingly, where home plate used to be, now they could have shifted things forward a little bit or back, I suppose, but where home plate used to be is roughly where the mount for the goalpost, one of the goalposts is now. They do have chalk, they're not really chalk lines, they're painted, that represent the old first and third baselines. But that's really, and it's kind of awkward because they kind of cross the infield. It's weird, but whatever. Again, better than a wrecking ball. How is the attendance? Not great. I will say that former ownership was not good about promoting things. And they didn't really have a great grasp on what appropriate ticket pricing is and what appropriate promotions are. And I think that contributed to the problem. There is also a bit of a stereotype attached to Patterson that some people think it's not safe to go there. I certainly wouldn't go there myself if I didn't feel safe. And I try and tell as many people as I can that it's okay to be there. It's actually fun to be there. And I'm hoping that more people turn out now that the ownership has changed. I certainly do as much as I can to have people come there. We did a small Elysian Fields group outing, and Dan Sachowski, who's on the call tonight, threw out the first pitch, which was kind of fun. And I hope that things get better. I know that one of the things that Baye and I have already talked about is he wants to partner more with local schools and local families to get them to come out for family appropriate entertainment. And I hope that will start a trend of more people coming to the stadium. What other professional teams are playing in northern New Jersey? We've got the Sussex County Miners, also from the Frontier League in the northwest corner of the state. We have the Somerset Patriots, who are the Yankees AA affiliate, playing in Bridgewater, New Jersey. We've got the Trenton Thunder, who are part of the MLB Draft League. They used to be the Yankees AA affiliate. They are now part of the Draft League. They play in Trenton. Those are all the baseball teams that we have. In terms of football, we've got the Jets and the Giants. Soccer, we've got the Red Bulls. We've now got the Cosmos.
Sorry, Donna, the Jets and Giants are not professional teams at this point.
Okay.
So they play in New Jersey, but they're not professional.
Fair statement. So
What about the Lakewood team?
I'm sorry, John, what was that?
The Lakewood, the Phillies have a team in Lakewood, don't they?
Yes, but that's not northern New Jersey, technically.
Lakewood.
It's Lakewood,
Okay.
and they're not a Phillies affiliate anymore, I believe.
Okay.
Or are they? They're still
they
a
are.
Phillies affiliate. They are?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The Blue Claws, I think.
The
Yeah,
Blue
I think
Claw.
they
Yeah,
still-
they're the Blue Claws. Yeah, the Jersey Shore Blue Claws.
Yeah.
And then hockey, we've got the Devils, that play in Newark. So that's okay. People talk about George Washington and John Adams and Jefferson and how Adobe is like a John Adams. Well, okay.
Good comparison.
Yeah. Okay, so any other questions or Dixie?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. I'm a Dobie guy.
Yes.
I'm a Larry guy because I was born the day he was told he was going to the Indians.
You're a Yankee Doodle dandy?
So I have to be a Larry guy.
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. That
You're
book, by the way.
You're a Dobie brother. That's what you are.
My question is, the second to the last slide about the cosmos,
Yeah,
why is New Jersey spelled wrong?
I didn't catch that. Hold on.
There's a second E missing from Jersey.
Oh, geez, look at that. In the on the partner leagues. Oh, geez.
That's why I'm a proofreader.
That you see, and sadly, I did not catch that because had I caught that, that slide would not be there. I took that directly from a press release. Wow. Oh, that's really bad. That's really bad.
That's why I get big bucks.
No, thank you for pointing that out. I will make sure that I swap that out before I do another one of these. That book that you showed, the Larry Doby in black and white, highly recommend. That was written by Jerry Eisenberg, who has become a friend of the chapter. He's been on with us quite a few times. And his in his adult life, his three best friends became Larry Doby, Monty Irvin, and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And those stories that are in there are all first person accounts of Larry Doby's experiences in life. Highly recommend it.
For those of you in Maryland, we have a Negro Leagues Museum here right outside Baltimore City, which is free to the public because it's currently housed in a county library, and I'm on the board for that. The Negro Leagues, one of the Negro Leagues fields that's here, technically, I don't know if it's on the city side or the county side, Bugle Field is one of our projects. The land has been purchased and is scheduled for some development. David Stinson, ballpark's guru extraordinaire, has reached out to the owners, and much like we did with Oriole Park 5 at Peabody's Brewery, and we did with why am I blanking on it? Where the 1899 or the 1890s Orioles played, Union Park on 25th Street. We are planning on, if ownership will go along with it, marking Bugle Field sometime in the future as well. So that would be the first official marker for a Negro League site here in the city. So that's definitely on our SABR agenda for 2026.
Awesome. Our Sabre Day event 2026 will be at the Muth Museum. They're tremendous supporters of our efforts. We are partnering with them for the second year in a row at the end of January to do a baseball card show there that kind of entices people to go to some place where they wouldn't necessarily normally go. They get to take in some history and they get to pick up some baseball cards. We did it for the first time last year. It was a tremendous success. We're doing it again with them this year. It's a fundraiser for the museum. The admission and all of the table rental fees all go 100% back to the museum. The vendors who set up there last year absolutely loved it. It's a show on the smaller side, but it's cozy and the vendors were great. And you can't beat the view. You've got Hinchliffe Stadium out one side of the museum and the Great Falls out the other side. And then February 7th is our Sabre Day. We do our in-person Sabre for the last 2 years. We've done, last year and this year since I became president. I've offered the Sabre Day programming, the in-person programming 1 week after so that people can take advantage of all the great virtuals that go on all around the country on Sabre Day themselves. So we're doing it that following Saturday. Last year, our event was Sabre Day tribute to Larry Doby, where we did a screening of the film Pride Against Prejudice, the Larry Doby story, and then had a panel discussion with Joseph Thomas Moore, who wrote the Larry Doby biography, and Luke Eplin, who wrote the book Our Team, another excellent book that covers Larry Doby, as well as Bob Feller and Bill Veck and Satchel Paige. It's another one that I recommend. So, and that was moderated by Dave Kaplan, who he was the founding director of the Yogi Berra Museum and played a huge role in the establishment of the Muth Museum. Our event this year, if anybody would like to take a ride up, is going to be Sabre Day tribute to Black baseball in the arts. We've got 3 artists lined up that are going to present to the chapter in various forms. I haven't announced those names to the chapter yet, so I'm not going to announce them here. But I did make an announcement about the event to the chapter earlier today. So if anybody wants more information about that, or the Muth Museum or the Yogi Berra Museum, or anything else that we have going on, please don't hesitate to reach out. As I hope everybody knows, you can belong to as many SABR chapters as you want. So if you want to get our mailings, we do a quarterly newsletter that I am very proud of. I've got an amazing editor-in-chief, and we've got some wonderful contributors. So if anybody wants to hop on board, please don't hesitate to do so. If you want to know anything else about Hinchliffe, or if you're ever coming up this way, I'd love to show you around, the museum, the stadium. Even if it's not open to the public, I can probably pull a few strings and make something happen. So please don't hesitate to get in touch if I can help.
Reciprocate for Donna if you ever come to Baltimore.
I'm looking forward to getting back there.
I don't know if you were here for our when we hosted the convention now, 3 years ago.
I wasn't.
And it was the first one post-pandemic. And for everything that the city and the world went through, we did pretty good. So hopefully somewhere down the line we'll get it again. Especially now with the renovations going on at at Camden Yards, to further improve its reputation as being one of the crown jewels of baseball.
Is Dixie with his sign from the convention?
Hey, I have one of those too.
I made sure I stole it.
Yeah. Hey, look at that.
As the sitting president, they let me have one. So,
Hey, there's a third. Very cool.
Who has the third? Oh, Jeff. All right.
There you go. I will say that Oriole Park at Camden Yards is one of my absolute favorite, if not my favorite, current ballpark. I love being there, and I look forward to returning.
Are you Yankees or you're Yankees?
I'm Yankees.
Have you been to the Yankees AAA?
In Scranton, yes.
Okay.
Or technically in Moosic, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
That's my home area, so that's why
Yes.
I push it.
Yes. I haven't since the pandemic, but I used to do at least 2 weekend trips a year out there, as well as a trip down to Baltimore for a Yankee series every year. Those traditions have not been resurrected because I've become more active in SABR and other things, and Hinchliffe, and I'm doing a lot more in Cooperstown now, and so but it's always tugging at me. So you'll hear from me when that trip's going to happen.
All right. Babe Ruth Museum tour on the house.
Awesome. I'm trying to think. The last time I was there, you guys were still selling the bricks.
From Memorial Stadium. Yep.
No, the bricks from the museum.
Oh, from when it was gutted in 2015. Yes.
So my last trip to Baltimore, I believe, was in either 2018 or 2019. And as much as I would like to say I go to the Babe Ruth Museum every trip down there, I don't, because I try and mix some things up and do some different things each time I'm down there. But yeah, I'm long overdue for a trip. So
you probably we haven't announced yet, but one of our upcoming speakers for 2026, which will be on Zoom, the first Wednesday of February will be Babe Ruth's grandson.
Oh, awesome. Okay. First Wednesday of February. Okay, I'm putting it on my calendar.
So all that stuff will come out once everything is finalized.
Cool.
Anybody else?
Question.
Dixie?
Question. Your slide about all of the Hall of Famers that were there at the field. I know, aside from the Dean brothers, I noticed there were 5 of the greatest pirates of all time. How did they get on there as opposed to other teams?
The Hannes Wagner has ties to Patterson, and they played a barnstorming game while the Pirates were in the area. He brought them, and they did a barnstorming game at Hinchliffe.
Yep. Okay.
There is a great article written by Dan Sichalski. If you Google, Dan, what's the best
Oh,
way
hold
to
on. Let me
just throw
find it now.
throw the link in the chat. Dan wrote a fantastic article that goes beyond just listing names and tells you kind of the history of Hall of Famers visiting.
Yeah, at the time, Honus Wagner was a coach, but he still got an at-bat.
Probably got a hit too.
Didn't he play for Patterson before he went to Louisville in
Yes.
1857?
Yes.
Okay. All
Yes.
The
Now
Patterson
clicking
Silk
in.
Weavers.
It's one of these days, weeks, months, years. I'm gonna do like a dive into and maybe even a slide presentation about Patterson baseball history, because there's a lot of really cool stuff there. A lot of really cool history. So okay. Project for another time. I'll add it to the list. So thank you all so much again for listening, for being an engaged audience, and for having me.
This was a great way to end the year. Donna's a wonderful person. I'm glad she's taken over the reins there in North Jersey. They're a wonderful chapter. They're growing exponentially. They're very active. Their newsletter is fabulous. They give us a run for our money. A lot of good things are happening there. Hopefully we'll partner with them in the future on different things. And some of the other chapters here in the Mid-Atlantic, I'd like to get a little consortium maybe going over time. As you guys know, we do a lot once in a while with the Philadelphia chapter, annually with a minor league game or this or that. So it's nice to reach across city and state lines and extend the SABR olive branch, even though we're not on this, don't root for the same teams. We all have the same baseball knowledge and enthusiasm in common.
I would absolutely love to do some stuff together. We've done things with a couple of other chapters, and I'm always looking to strengthen the ties, the geographic ties. So
absolutely. So
awesome.
Everybody, if I don't see you again, don't forget, I think John Burbridge is still on here. He's doing an in-person presentation at the Babe Ruth Museum, which will be recorded. It won't be live streamed on the second Saturday of the month. And that'll be our last SABR speaker series for this year. And we will reboot all of our monthly meetings, in 2026. So no changes there, just hopefully some nice big names, like Babe Ruth's grandson will be coming, down the line. So happy holidays if I don't see you. And more information on SABR Day on MLK Day, which Donna, if you want to come down, please do. We'll be at the Peabody Heights Brewery, and we won't be live streaming it, but we will be recording it this year. So if you can't make it, there will be a BBRC YouTube page created in the very near future. So,
last important question: did the kitty pass all its tests?
yes, his blood sugar is good. So his insulin dose will stay the same. For those of you who know, we have several cats in this house, but this is the only one who is on a daily medication, and so he's happy and healthy, and actually right now he's cleaning his butt. So
Yes, I have
I-
4, and one of them needs daily medicine, but that's okay.
we're currently we've lost a few this year, so we're down to only 10. So
Okay, that's
So-
good enough for me.
all righty. Well, thanks everybody. Great to see you. Great to see familiar faces. Nice to see you again, Dan. I saw you you were at the museum back in March, right?
Yeah,
Yes, I
he
was.
did the Bruce
Bruce
Springsteen presentation.
yeah. Glory days, got it.
Yeah.
So I knew he sounded familiar.
Peter, I have a question. Is there anybody alive that has any information and knew Joe Simonik, one of the founders of SABR? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Well, isn't there one of the
There's-
16
Yes.
Found-
Joseph Simonik was one of the founders of SABR in Cooperstown. Turns out he's from Cleveland. He died in 2015. He's buried in the same cemetery where my mom and dad are buried. And he came from the same area of Croatia where my grandfather came. I didn't join SABR until 2009 or so. So I didn't know him. And I'm trying to do the research on him to see if I can get any information other than what I've read on the SABR biography and whatnot.
reach out to Jacob at SABR headquarters, because he's the guy who's been there the longest.
Yep.
So
John
he-
Thorne might know a couple things.
Yeah, and I believe there's one of those original 16
Tom
founders
Hufford.
is still alive, because when
Yeah.
it was here in Camden Yards, Baltimore Convention in 2022, he threw out the first pitch at that game.
Yeah, Tom Hufford is his name, and he received the Bob Davids Award at the SABR Convention in 2025. So
Okay.
he's still alive, and I believe he's in the directory, and I spoke with him for a bit, and he's an absolute pleasure. So I would just look him up in the directory, and definitely Jacob's a great resource also.
Okay, how do you spell his last name? Telford, Telford.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay,
That's it.
Telford. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, he's the last of the original 16, I believe.
Yes.
So, well, on that note, again, thank you guys. Have fun. You know how to reach me if you need anything. Much appreciated, Donna. This was very informative. I learned a lot. And hopefully you'll be able to come up and see you guys in the spring. So,
That would be great.
all right, guys.
Happy
Have a
holidays,
good-
everybody.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night,
thanks to
everyone.
all.
Good night.